friends, so today I'm going to show you how to take your bike, pack it up in a box so that you're ready for international travel. I've traveled with my bike from America to India, India to Thailand, Thailand to Nepal, Nepal back to Thailand, and now we're going Thailand to America in the past couple of years and have yet to have a problem. Today we're going to show you how to box your bike and make it ready for international travel. All right, step one is going to be remove your pedals. You can remember the easy way to do this is that you want to turn towards the back of the bike. So let's get it going like that. You can unscrew these. Comes off pretty easy. You're going to make sure that you keep track of these washer spacers. You might use a zip tie to help you with that. All right, next step is going to be to remove your front wheel. That'll get you to approximately here. Something to be aware of is that the difficulty of the packing job will depend on the size of your box. So you can see this here that my bike is probably 6 inches longer than my box. So we got to compress the bike in order to get it to fit properly. Okay, next step is going to be removing your front disc brake caliper. This is to make room in the box. Set that out of the way. We're going to remove the adapter. Alright, after that we're going to remove the mud guard that I've got on here. Alright, the place I get my box from gives me the box with all of these foam packing inserts and stuff to protect the frame. If you don't get this with your box, then you'll have to use your pads or some clothes or something like that, but if you ask around you can probably find these. All right, once you get the bike all wrapped up, last thing to do is to let the air out of your fork. We do the same thing for the rear shock, and then see how close we are to getting it to fit into the box. I know what I keep my settings at, but if you aren't sure, then you want to make sure that you take the time to see how much PSI you have in your shocks before you deflate them so you can put them back the way they were. Alright, we're almost there. So one of the last things we're going to do is remove the handlebars, since they obviously won't go into the box like this. Okay. Alright, so I mentioned before that one of my issues is that my bike is so much longer than my box. And you can see I've got it almost lined up, except that I'm still about 2 inches too long. And the only way that I'm going to get my bike smaller is if I come in here and unmount my rear shock. And that will create enough space for the wheel to compress and give me that 2 inches to fit it in the box. So we're going to do that. All right, one last thing you're probably going to do, it depends on the size of your box, but it's a good idea, is to remove your rear derailleur. And that way it won't get bent, your hanger won't get bent if the bike gets set down sideways. And all right, quick change tool, and you can set that aside. Okay, before we drop the bike in the box, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks. When the bike sits down in here, you have space between the back wall of the box and your wheel. Enough space to put the bag that should have your pedals and the disc brake stuff that we took off, and then I'm taking some grease along with me, a few extra tools. So I'm gonna tape those right here in the back of the box, and then they'll stay out of the way. The other thing to note is that when the bike sits down in here, the fork's going to go down here. So it's a good idea to reinforce this area where the fork sits. And then you're going to have lots of room underneath the triangle here that you can put your pads or your hydration pack. You'll also have room up here between your stem and the front of the box that you can slide some stuff as well. But you want to make sure that you leave enough room here for your front wheel. So as we backpack the box, I'll show you how it's done. All right, one last step before we drop it in there, and that is to let some air out of your tires. If you travel with tubes, the airline wants them to be like totally flat, which is not necessary. They're not going to pop inside the airplane. If you go tubeless, this is tricky because you don't want them to be full of air, and you need the room that's created by them. So you're going to let a lot of air out of them, but not so much air that they'll become unseated and then spill sealant inside your box. So that's the front one. Do the rear one. Then we'll be ready to drop this in the box. All right, we're going to do this again. Got the fork. Notice the stem is backwards. The whole fork is facing backwards. This because the offset gives you more room. I'm going to grab it by the rear wheel so I can keep the suspension compressed. Pick it up. Lead with the fork. Drop the rear wheel in. Make sure that your derailleur stays out of the way. We take our handlebars, drop them in on the side. And then you can see the handlebar laying in here like this. And I'm going to use a zip tie to zip tie it into place so it doesn't bounce around, rattle against the frame. It's a personal preference, but some people like to undo their brake levers and stuff to free up more room here with the cables, but again, it's a personal preference. This will leave me room to drop my wheel here, which we'll do in a second, and then place for my pads and my hydration pack. All right, just going to drop the front tire in here. This can be a little bit tricky. You've got extensions on the fork that you're trying to avoid. You've got the rear there, and it just has to sit below that level there, and you'll be good to go. See, I put my knee pads back here, helps keep the bike stabilized in the middle. All right, finished product here. You can see I've got gear stuff down here. I've got my helmet between the wall and the tire. I've got a hydration pack on the gear side, the drive side of the tire that helps protect things, and my pads in the back, and it all has gone in there nice and smooth. Time to wrap this thing up and tape it up. All right, there's the finished product. Notice it is not a camp bicycle, it's a transition patrol. It's fit in this this generic bike box from the local bike store, and now it's ready to fly from Thailand to the USA. Leave some comments below, let me know if I missed anything, or tips and tricks that you have for packing your bicycle, and let's grow as a community.